Hi, this is Debbie from Organic Oasis in Northern California, Zone 9B. Today we're going to be making a zoodle and beef stir-fry using flank steak, and we'll be using zucchinis from our garden. And if you're like Tim and I here in Organic Oasis, you probably have a lot of zucchinis and you're trying to figure out what can you make with them. Maybe you've tried stuffed zucchini and some zucchini bread, and now you're tired of that and you want to try something different. Well, let's zoodle these and make a stir-fry. And I think it's going to be pretty delicious. Let's get cooking. To make the zoodles today, I'm going to be using my KitchenAid stand mixer attachment. This is a spiralizer that peels, cores, and slices. It's an addition, it's an extra add-on that you have to get for the KitchenAid. But if you have a KitchenAid, this is something you might want to invest in. I know you can get other types of spiralizers, hand crank ones and all that, but this is a cool gadget. It is an add-on, and that's what we'll be using today. If you don't have a KitchenAid, you may want to skip past this part. But if you're thinking of getting a KitchenAid, or you have the KitchenAid and you might want to get the spiralizer, then you might want to watch this. This is how this attaches. It's super easy. So you take off this little KitchenAid, like it's a little, looks like a little knob on this part right here. And then the spiralizer just pops in to here. It just fits right in here. Let me move this out of the way over here. It fits right in here. And you can just move it around until it goes in. And then you go ahead and use this nut to secure it. And it just screws right in. All of the attachments to go with the KitchenAid, they kind of go the same way. They attach right here. And you just screw this in to tighten it on. Once you get the knob tightened on and you get the little attachment tightened on, now what you do is you take, there's this little pin that holds the vegetable, and this just slides in here like this, and it snaps in place. So this attachment here just slides, it slides back and forth like this. And then this is the blade, this is the medium spiralizing blade. It just sits on here, kind of like in here like this, like that. Then you can move it and adjust it to how big your zucchini is, or whatever vegetable or fruit that you're spiralizing. Yay, it's starting to work. Here we go. Now we're getting a nice spiralized zucchini. It does do this in the middle. Okay, it does make this thing in the middle. Usually this is a part of the zucchini, the middle part. I just chop it up and leave it in here. But here it makes these nice zoodles. I also will take scissors and slice. It's one continuous thing, but I usually will just scissor it and cut it. It also leaves a little piece like this that I just chop up and throw it in. When I was making the zoodles, I had trouble with my KitchenAid spiralizer. So I like to be truthful, and I have to show you what happened. So the Palermo zucchinis, which are probably a little firmer and thinner, they made wonderful zoodles. As you can see, they came out great. But look what happened when I tried to spiralize my calabaza zucchinis. They were too soft on the inside, and so they just smushed. They pretty much smushed. And so I got no zoodles from my calabazas. I have now 4 big pieces of kind of mush in the middle. So I'm a little disappointed. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead to save these. I'm going to shred them. I can make banana bread or some kind of zucchini cookies or muffins or something from these. I'll shred them and I'll freeze them. After I do that, I've got my zoodles ready, and we'll go on with the recipe. So there are little pieces like this, but basically you get these really lovely big spiralized zucchinis, and it works great for the most part. The recipe calls for 1 pound of zoodles. So I'm going to go ahead and weigh the zoodles that I have. This might be enough to make 2 recipes. So I'm at 5.5, 7.4, okay, 10 and a half, 13, 15, Okay, so I have about a pound right now. So I'm just going to put the rest of my zoodles in and see how much the total is here. So I'm up to about a pound, not quite a pound and a half. So now I'm going to weigh out my flank steak. We bought it from Costco and it came in a 2-pack. Because I increased the zucchini, the zoodles to 1.5 pounds, I'm looking for about 1.5 pounds of flank steak. Okay, this is 1.9. Let me try this one over here. It's bigger, much bigger. So that's about 2 pounds. So I think what I'll do is go ahead and use this 1 pounder, but I'm going to add a little bit more meat to come to 1.5 pounds. So what I will do is I'm just going to cut this meat like this. I'm going to be slicing it anyway into thin strips. So I'm just going to take this on the grain, and that's about 1.6. I'll take one more slice. This should be about 1.5 pounds. So there we go. We've got our 1.5 pounds. Now we're going to slice this steak into very thin strips. I'm slicing the flank steak against the grain. So the grain's running this way. I'm going to be slicing it the opposite direction. And I just want thin slices, and I want them bite-sized. I'm going to be doing a stir fry, and I don't want to be cutting the meat after I cook the meat. I'll be stir frying the meat, so I want it in the right size pieces before I start cooking it. The flank steak was cut across the grain into slices, bite-sized pieces. And now what we do is we're going to add a tablespoon of soy sauce. I use organics. So 1 tablespoon, 2 teaspoons of sesame oil. I'm using toasted sesame oil here, signature. We're going to just stir this. We're going to let this marinate for a little bit. The recipe does call to add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, which I'm not going to be using, but I do have some flour. And this is to kind of coat the meat. And it's going to help thicken the sauce when you're stir frying it. So the flour is it's a thickening agent. As you can see, the sesame oil and the soy sauce is already, if you look on the bottom of the pan, as you add the flour, it's making more of a thicker sauce. Okay, so I'm not putting in the whole entire amount yet. I'm just kind of stirring it up. But you can feel it even, it's thickening it. It's like coating this meat so that the meat's going to be covered with a thicker sauce. It won't be watery or liquidy, it'll be thick. It also, I think, helps hold in some of the moisture on the meat. You know, if you bread like a meat, if you bread it and fry it, it kind of holds moisture in and gives it more of a crispy outside. This is the same idea. Okay, so we're just going to leave this meat sitting here now just to marinate while we continue with the recipe. I've already made the zoodles, but I need to move on to the other ingredients. While the steak is marinating, we're going to go ahead and slice up this onion, thinly sliced. And we're going to be adding some ginger as well. We'll be cutting up some ginger. A 1-inch piece of ginger. We'll be mincing it. For now, I'm just going to thinly slice my onion. We want 3 garlic cloves, and we want to remove the peel and chop them very small, or you could put them through a garlic press if you'd like. I'll be taking the peel off of this and chopping them. So I'm going to slice these really thin and chop them up. I'm in my garden and I'm going to harvest some parsley for our dinner. As you can see, the parsley shares a bag with the basil and the oregano. So it's like a little bit of a herb garden growing on here. I need to cut the flowers off my basil so that it continues to grow. And as you can see, I have an ant problem. So I've got some ant bait, homemade ant bait that I have in there as well. It's taking care of the ants, but they were really liking the oregano. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest this, and I'll meet you back in the house. We need a 1-inch piece of ginger, and we need to chop that fine as well, just like we did with the garlic. Just going to slice the garlic ginger right here. I don't want to get any of the peel in it. There you go. All right, so I'll just take, and I'm just going to go ahead, same like the garlic, slice it up, chop it. Now you could also use a garlic press on the ginger as well. And I do that sometimes. However, sometimes I get a chunk of the garlic or ginger stuck in the bottom of the press, which I don't like. So I don't want to waste any of this. So I'm just going to do it by hand. I just harvested the parsley from our garden, and I'm just going to chop it. This is going to be the garnish, but I just want everything ready to go so that when it's done cooking, it is, I'm not stuck all of a sudden trying to prepare something. So I'm just going to get it all ready ahead of time. It's nice having fresh parsley to harvest from the garden. I love growing parsley, actually. I have 2 different types growing out there. Okay. All right, we're going to start stir frying now. I have my saute pan heating up, and I'm going to put in a teaspoon of my toasted sesame oil. I'm waiting for my pan to heat up a little bit. We're going to add the steak that's been marinating, the flank steak. And we're just going to stir fry this until the steak is brown. We want to get the steak nice and brown. I'm going to turn the heat up. Cook the meat until it's the way that you like it. The recipe says to keep it rare. Some people like their steak very rare. I'm the opposite. I like my steak cooked a lot. I'm cooking mine more than the recipe says. You need to cook it the way you're going to enjoy it. You can see how putting the flour in has made this into a sauce. It's a thick sauce, which is nice. And I think the meat is cooked the way I like it. It's brown on all sides. There's no red parts. So now we're just going to remove the meat onto a plate. We're going to turn the heat to medium. We're going to remove the steak to just to a plate. We'll be cooking the rest of the vegetables in here. We'll be putting the steak in again at the end. We've got the heat on medium. We're going to put in another teaspoon of sesame oil, toasted sesame oil. We're going to add all of the vegetables that we prepared, the onion, the sliced onion, the ginger and garlic. And we're going to saute this for about 5 minutes on medium heat. About 5 minutes. You're going to stir up the brown, crispy pieces here. We're going to add our zoodles. We added the zoodles, and now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I'm going to add a little bit more since I increased the zoodles by half a pound. So now I'm keeping the heat on medium. I'm going to be stir frying this for about 4 minutes. The zoodles will start to soften as they cook. Now you have a decision to make at this point. The recipe says to just, when this is finished cooking, to go ahead and just put this into your bowl and then put the meat back in the pan, heat up the meat, and then put the meat on top of your zoodles. So you would keep your meat separate from this dish, and you would serve it separately. Zoodles and then the meat on top of the zoodles. Or your choice is you could add it back in to this dish, and that way it could heat back up in here and be actually a part of the stir fry rather than separated from the stir fry. So even though the recipe says to serve the zoodles separately from the meat, I'm going to go ahead and put the steak back in because that's typically how I do my stir fries. Is I stir fry all of the meat and everything together. So I'm just going to do this the same way that I normally do my stir fry. So I'm going to put the meat right in here. That way the meat's going to heat up at the same time as the rest of the dish. Saves me a little bit of time. And it really, I feel like doing it this way incorporates the dish into one better than keeping it separate. The only benefit of keeping it separate is that you can put on more meat or less meat. And if you use up all your zoodles, you have steak left over you could use for tacos. Or here it is, all plated. Here it is. Does it look delicious? It smells delicious. Let me try it. I've got these long zoodles, which if you love spaghetti, you're going to love this. Okay, let me try it. I may be slurping. Mmm. Absolutely delicious. This is so good. If you have lots of zucchini in your garden and you want to find a way to use it up and you're tired of your zucchini bread and stuffed zucchini boats, try this recipe. You will love it. Zoodles with stir-fried beef, out of this world, delicious and healthy and organic. If you like these type of recipes, follow along with Organic Oasis. Let's go on this journey together. And please comment and share how do you use your zucchinis? If you grow them, how do you use them? Do you buy them in the farmer's market? That's awesome. Do you buy organic? Awesome. And even if you don't, it's still wonderful. Zucchini is such a versatile vegetable. You can do so much with it. Let's have fun.